Hello everyone. In this part I will discuss Pandas Data Frame in Python. So first of all I will give basic introduction of data frame, and then I will use Pandas to read file from the CSV. So let's discuss. So first of all, what is a data frame? A Pandas data frame is a two-dimensional data structure. In the previous part I have covered series, and now I am covering data frame. So data frame is a two-dimensional data structure like 2D array, or you can say it is a table with rows and columns. Okay, so how you will use Pandas data frame I will cover in this tutorial. So first of all you need to import Pandas. So import Pandas as PD. So I will create a student data frame. So how to create? It's very simple. Just type a name, and then here you can see the Pandas data frame is a two-dimensional data structure. It is a 2D array, so it will have rows and columns. So there are two columns in this data frame. So marks, and let's say marks are 320, 400 and 350, and age, and let's say age is 21, 23, 22. Okay, now you have created a data. Let's load the data into a data frame object. So load data into data frame object. For that, what you will do, you will create an object. df is data frame, pd dot data frame, and here you will pass the name. Okay, so let's print this data frame. So let me explain. This is a student and it has marks and age, you can see, and I have loaded this data. It is a two-dimensional data, marks and age, and I have loaded data into a data frame object, and then I am printing the value of the data frame. So let me run this cell, and you can see the output. You can see the output in the table form. There are two columns, marks and age, and there are 3 rows, you can see. Okay, so next is how you can use location attribute to return one or more specified row. For example, this data frame has 3 rows. Now I will use location attribute to return one or more specified row. For that you will use print df dot location. So location value you will use, and if you run this command you will see the value of only first row. As you can see, the first row has values 320 marks and age is 21, and you can see like this. And if you want to return multiple rows, then you will use df dot location, and here you will pass the particular location. And if I run this, you can see your original data frame has 3 rows as you can see, marks age for the first row, marks age for the second row, marks age for the third row. And if you pass 0, 1, it means 0 index and 1 index, and you can see the corresponding output. Now by default these has the 0, 1, 2 indexes. We can also use named indexes. So in this part I will use named indexes. So with the index argument you can name your own indexes. So with the help of index argument you can use, for example, let's use named indexes. For example, in this case you will use df equals to dot data frame. The name of the data is coming from student, and I am giving the indexes like this. So indexes are, for example, Pankaj, Sunny and Rahul. And now I have given the indexes name. Now if I print df, so let me show you the output. You can see now the indexes previously has 0, 1, 2 value. Now I have changed the index values to this, Quiz, Sunny, Rahul, and you can see the output. And similarly you can print the value of a particular student. For that, you will use df.location, and previously in the location method I passed the index because by default these rows have 0, 1, 2 index, but now I will pass the name of the index because now the indexes has the names. So I will pass the name of the index. So for example, I want to see the data of Pankaj, just click on run and you can see like this. So this is the basic introduction to Python data frame. Okay, so practically we can use Python data frame to load the data from the CSV file for the better data analysis. For that, what I will use a read CSV file for the basic understanding of the data, and how to load the data from the CSV file I will discuss now. So this is my dataset. This is dataset and it has the data of you can see of around 500 data. It has that 500 rows, more than 500 rows, and you can see the different columns. So first of all, how to load this CSV file into the Pandas. So for that, here is the location of my CSV file. So for that, what you will do, so let me create a new notebook. So just wait while new notebook is being created. Okay, so here I will first of all import Pandas as, and here data I will now read the CSV file. So pd dot read underscore CSV. So read underscore CSV function is used to read the data from the CSV file, and here I will use this file. So project data file I will use. So I will simply, you can see, I will copy it and here I will paste it. So it will read the CSV file from my local storage, because I want to read the data of this CSV file, and how Panda will help me in analyzing this data set I will explain. So first of all, let's quickly print this data and click on run, and you can see the my data has 499 rows and 12 columns. So if you are able to see this output, it means your data has been successfully read. Now what we can do, if you want to print only the first 5 rows, so first 5 rows of data, then simply you will use data dot head function and click on run, and you can see only there are 5 rows in my data. And if you want to print first 10 rows, if you want to analyze the first 10 rows, then what you will do, you will use data dot head, and here you will pass the number of rows. And now my data has 10 rows, as you can see. And if you want to print the last 5 rows, so last 5 rows, you will use data dot tail and then click on run, and you can see the last 5 rows data. So in this part I am only covering the basic functions like head, tail, and how to load the CSV file into the Pandas Data Frame. And I have covered what is data frame, so how to load the file, and how to use the head function and tail function, how to print the particular rows, first 10 rows. And now if you want to find the information about your data, so information, for that what you will do, you will use data dot info function, and let's see the output. And what data dot info function returns number of rows, you can see from the output, and the number of columns. And number of columns, there are 12 columns, and 0 index column is customer ID, year of birth, educational level, marital status, annual income. So I am able to analyze my data with the help of data.info. In the coming lecture I will cover more functions related to data frame. So in this part I am only covering head, tail, info. So you can see all the column names in the output, and all are non-null, and there are 499 values in each of the column. Okay, so there is another property, data dot shape. So what does this data dot shape means? It will return the number of rows and number of columns in the data frame. So there are 499 rows and 12 columns. So remember these basic functions, simple functions. Data dot head means first 5 rows. Data dot head, if you pass the number of rows here, it will print the particular number of rows. Data dot tail, data dot info will provide you the name of the column. Okay, and data dot shape provides the number of rows and number of columns in the data. So in this part I will cover only this portion. In the coming part I will explain more functions of data frame so that you can better analyze the data. So that's all. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone. In the previous part I have discussed how you can use Pandas Data Frame, what is data frame, and some basic functions of data frame. So in this part I will explore some more functions of data frame, and we will analyze the dataset. The dataset which I am gonna use is available here. You can see the dataset, and we will analyze this dataset with the help of Pandas Data Frame. In this part, for that you must import pandas as pd, and then I will use pd.read_csv to read the data from this link. So just copy this link and then paste it here, and then when I click on df, it will print all the data. So as you can see, there are these number of rows and 21 columns in my data set. You can see all the columns here. So you can see all the columns here. When I print df, it will print a whole data set, as you can see. Next is df.columns. When I use data frame dot columns, then what is the output? I get all the columns. For example, you can see the columns age, job, marital, education, default, housing, loan, contact, and all the columns you can see in your data set, as you can see. So when I click on df.size, it will print me the number of values in my data set. So number of values in my data set are, you can see these number of values are in my data set. And df.shape I have also explained in my previous part. df.shape will print the number of rows and number of columns in my data set. Very simple. And df.describe, it actually provides the summary of the statistics. So when I use df.describe, it provides me these values for each of the column. It provides me count, mean, standard deviation, minimum, 25% variance, 50%, 75%, and maximum value. As you can see that if I see the age column, there are 41188 values in count column. Similarly, all the columns has these number of values. And minimum age is 17, maximum age is 98. Similarly, you can find the minimum duration, you can find the maximum duration, you can find the statistics of each of the column, as you can see. And similarly, you can find the mean of all the age value, you can find the standard deviation of all the age value, minimum of maximum value. Next is df.dtypes. df.datatypes will provide me the data type of each of the column. As you can see, age is integer value, job is object value, duration is integer value. So there are some float values in my data set. So you can find the data types of each of the column. Next, when I click on df dot when I type df dot data type dot value underscore count, it will provide me the number of integer columns in my dataset, the number of float columns in my dataset, and the number of object type columns in my dataset. df.head, I have also explained this in my previous video. It provides me the first 5 rows of my dataset. As you can see, the first 5 rows of my dataset you can see on the screen. Very simple. And df.tail provides me the last 5 rows of my dataset. So df.head provides me the first 5 rows, and df.tail provides me the last 5 rows of my dataset. And if you want to print only the age column, you can simply pass df square bracket and then age column, and it will give me the output of the it will provide me the data of only age column. As you can see, name is age and length is this one. It means there are so many values, and data type is integer 64. And similarly, you can print the df job. So it will provide you the job of each of the row. You can see 0 is housemaid, 1 is services, and so on you can find. And if you if I click on df job, it provide me all the values. For example, this value and this value has services job, you can see. And if I write df job dot value underscore count, it will provide me the data category wise, job category wise. For example, the number of admin, the number of job where the job is admin is 10422, blue collar is 9254. So this way you can print the value count of any of the column. Simply provide df square bracket name of the column dot value underscore counts. It's very easy. And if I type df job dot value underscore count normalize equals to true, it will provide me the percentage of that. For example, the number of admin jobs are 0.25%. It means 25% of all the values which are in the data set. There are total values if of the data set, there are 25% values of the admin, 22% values of the blue collar, 16% values are of technician. So if I provide normalize equals to true, it will provide me the data like this. And if I so see, now this value has 0.253035. I can round off this value to 2 decimal places. So simply just provide the function name round and pass this value comma 2. So it means it will round off the value by 2 decimal places. As you can see, compare these results. Here I have provided normalize equals to true, and here I am rounding off the value to 2 decimal places. Similarly, you can filter the data. So if I provide df dot location colon 6 comma this, it means it will provide me the first 7 data points. It will provide me the first 7 data points using the location method, but for the variables job and marital. So it will provide me the first 7 values of the job column and marital column. It's very simple to use this. And similarly, we can achieve the same result by using iLocation. If I use location method, if I use location, then I have to provide the column name. And if I provide the iLocation, then here I have to provide the column name as the integer value. So 1 comma 3 integer value means, see my complete data set. So see, this is the 0 index, this is the 1, this is the 2, this is 3. So I will provide 1 comma 2 or 1 comma 3. You can type here. So okay, so I location 1 comma 3, it means job and education. So let me show you the data. 0 index is age, 1 index is job, 2 index and 3 index. So job and education column means I am getting the data of only these 2 columns. So with the help of iLocation, I will provide the column as integer, and with the help of location I will provide the column name. So this here I am printing the whole my data set. Okay, so conditional selection. For example, if I want to select only data where the age of the person is greater than 50, then what I will do, I will use df age greater than 50 and then I pass it in the data frame. So very simple, it is a conditional selection. So here you can see I am getting only 7180 rows because only these number of rows has is greater than 50. And similarly, see, if I write like this, I am getting all the columns. But if I am not interested in getting all the columns, if I am interested in only particular columns, then what I will do, I will use df dot location and then see the difference. Here I am getting all the values which where age is greater than 50, and here I am getting only these two columns. So very simple, df dot location. Here I will pass the condition and here I will pass the column name which I want to print. So I am getting only the age and job values of all the columns, all the rows where age is greater than 50. It's very simple. Similarly, you can drop the columns in the result. For example, if I want to, if I am not interested in these two columns, job and education, I can drop in my result. So df dot drop, and in the scale in the bracket I will pass columns. In the bracket I will pass columns name. So job and education I don't want in my result, I want to drop these two columns, I will pass in the. So you can see now I am getting only 19 columns, and in my original data set there are 21 columns, and I have dropped two columns, job and education. It's very simple. So this way you can drop the as many number of columns as you want. Just pass the column name here. And if you want to add a new column, so simply, for example, I want to add a new column. See, in my original data set I have 21 columns, and now I want to add new column. So df in the square bracket I will pass the name of the new column equals to the value. So it will has English value for each of the row. So you can see, if I print df, you can see there are 22 columns. In my original data set there were 21 columns. Now I have added one new column, English language, and now I have 22 columns. And let me show you the values. So you can see the last column is language English. So I have added this column to my data set. Very simple. And you can see the name of the index of index is starting from 0 1 2 3. And if I want to rename the indexes, I can rename. So df dot rename, in the bracket I will pass the index. For example, 0 index is Rahul, 1 index is Ram, 2 index is Rajan. And when I print the data, you can see 0 index, 1 index and 2 index are renamed to Rahul, Ram and Rajan, and I have not renamed the remaining indexes. So I am getting 3 4 and these values, but I have renamed the 0 index, 1 index and 2 index. So I am getting in the result the name of the index, the new name of the index which I have just renamed. So 0 is Rahul, 1 is Ram and 2 is Rajan. Very simple. And similarly, you can also rename the name of the columns. For example, if I want to rename my column education to edu and day of week to day, education to edu and day of the, so you can write like this, df dot rename columns. See, previously I have renamed the index. So index is row wise, but now I want to rename the columns. So df dot rename, and in the columns I want to rename education to edu and day of week to day. So just type this, and you can see in the result of, in the previous result, see the name of column was education and now it is edu. And similarly, day of week, see a day of week, and now I have renamed to day, and you can see I have renamed the column to day. Previously it was day of week, now it is day. Very simple. So this way you can use the all the functions of the data frame for better analyzing the data. That's all for this lecture. Thank you for watching.